You get home from work exhausted. You open the fridge, look at the vegetables you bought with good intentions, and then close the fridge again. You tell yourself, I'll cook something healthy tomorrow. But tomorrow comes, work is exhausting again, and suddenly you're ordering takeout, eating whatever is quickest, or skipping dinner completely. If this sounds familiar, the problem may not be that you lack discipline. The problem may be that your healthy eating plan requires too much energy at the exact time you have the least energy. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to eat healthier after a long workday, even when you are tired, short on time, and do not feel like cooking. These are not complicated recipes that require an hour in the kitchen. They are realistic strategies designed for busy professionals who want to eat well without turning dinner into another exhausting task. And make sure you stay until the end, because I'll share a simple rule that can help you build a healthy dinner in just a few minutes, even when you have no meal plan. Introduction. Healthy eating often sounds simple. We hear advice like, cook more meals at home, eat more vegetables, prepare your meals in advance, stop ordering takeout. And while this advice is not necessarily wrong, it often ignores what happens at the end of a demanding workday. You may have spent hours solving problems, answering emails, attending meetings, commuting, taking care of other people, or making decisions all day. By the time you get home, you may be physically tired, but you may also be mentally exhausted. And when your energy is low, even a simple meal can feel like too much work. You have to decide what to make. You have to find the ingredients. You have to wash, chop, cook, and clean. Then you have to do it all again tomorrow. That is why many people do not struggle with healthy eating, because they do not know what is healthy. They struggle because their plan does not fit their real life. So instead of creating a healthy eating routine that depends on motivation every evening, we are going to create one that still works when motivation is low. Because the goal is not to cook a perfect meal every night. The goal is to make the healthier choice easier than the alternative. Let's begin. Strategy 1. Stop planning meals that require your evening energy. One of the biggest mistakes busy professionals make is choosing healthy meals based only on what sounds nutritious. They find a beautiful recipe online. It has fresh ingredients, several steps, multiple seasonings, and a long preparation time. Then they promise themselves they will make it after work. But when they get home exhausted, that meal feels completely unrealistic. The issue is not that the meal is unhealthy or that you are lazy. The issue is that you planned a high-effort meal for your lowest energy time of day. Instead, start choosing meals based on something I call the after-work energy test. Ask yourself, would I realistically make this meal after a difficult and exhausting workday? Not after a relaxing day. Not when you feel motivated. Not when you have extra time. Ask whether you would still make it when you are tired, hungry, stressed, and ready to sit down. If the answer is no, the meal may be too complicated for a weekday routine. That does not mean you can never cook more involved meals. You can save those for weekends, days off, or evenings when you genuinely have the energy. But your weekday meals should be designed for reality. For example, instead of planning a dinner that requires chopping several vegetables and preparing multiple side dishes, you might choose a pre-cooked protein, a bag of ready-to-eat salad, and a quick carbohydrate such as whole grain bread, rice, or a microwavable grain. That may not look like a complicated meal prep photo online, but it is practical, and practical meals are the meals you are most likely to repeat. Remember this, the healthiest meal is not always the most complicated meal. It is often the healthy meal you can consistently make. Strategy 2. Create a too tired to cook food list. Most people only think about dinner when they are already hungry. And when you are hungry and exhausted, making decisions becomes harder. That is when convenience food becomes especially appealing. So instead of asking yourself every evening, what should I eat? Create a short list before you need it. Call it your too tired to cook list. This is a list of meals you can make with very little preparation. Your list might include a whole grain wrap with pre-cooked chicken, salad greens, and a simple sauce. Eggs with whole grain toast and fruit. Greek yogurt with fruit, oats, nuts, or seeds. A quick grain bowl using microwavable rice, canned beans, frozen vegetables, and a sauce you enjoy. a ready-made soup with a sandwich or a side salad, or a simple plate with a protein, a vegetable, and a filling carbohydrate. The exact foods can be different depending on your preferences, culture, budget, and dietary needs. The important part is that you already know what your options are. When you are exhausted, you do not need more decisions. You need fewer decisions, and a short list can reduce the mental effort that often leads to ordering food or skipping meals. You can even save the list in your phone. Then, when you get home and feel like you have no energy, you do not have to search for recipes. You simply choose one option from your list. Think of it as creating a backup plan for your tired future self. Strategy 3. Keep convenience foods without feeling guilty. Many people believe that healthy eating means buying only fresh ingredients and preparing everything from scratch. But that belief can make healthy eating much harder. Convenience is not the enemy. The question is whether the convenience helps you eat in a way that supports your goals. For a busy professional, helpful convenience foods may include frozen vegetables, pre-washed salad greens, pre-cut vegetables, canned beans, canned fish, pre-cooked chicken, microwavable whole grains, ready-made soups, plain Greek yogurt, frozen fruit, whole grain wraps. These foods can reduce the time and energy needed to prepare a meal. And using them does not mean you failed at cooking. It means you are building a system that fits your life. Imagine getting home tired and realizing you have to wash, peel, chop, and cook everything before you can eat. Now compare that with opening a bag of pre-washed salad, heating a prepared protein, and adding a quick source of carbohydrates. The second option may take only a few minutes. That difference matters when you are exhausted. You do not have to earn convenience by becoming busier. You are allowed to use tools that make healthy eating easier. In fact, if spending a little more on a convenient ingredient helps you avoid repeatedly buying expensive takeout, it may support both your health goals and your budget. The goal is not to prove that you can do everything from scratch. The goal is to create meals you can maintain. Strategy 4. Use the 3-part plate when you have no plan. Here is the simple rule I mentioned earlier. When you do not know what to eat, build your meal using 3 parts: a protein, a source of fiber or vegetables, a filling carbohydrate or healthy fat. You do not need to measure everything perfectly. You do not need a complicated recipe. You are simply creating a meal that is more balanced and satisfying than eating one random food by itself. For example, protein could be eggs, chicken, fish, beans, lentils, tofu, Greek yogurt, or another food you enjoy. Your vegetable or fiber source could be salad greens, frozen vegetables, fresh vegetables, beans, fruit, or another fiber-rich food. Your filling carbohydrate or healthy fat could be whole grain bread, rice, potatoes, oats, avocado, nuts, seeds, or another option that works for you. So a simple meal could be eggs, frozen vegetables, and toast. Or chicken, a ready-made salad, and microwavable rice. Or beans, vegetables, and a whole grain wrap. Or Greek yogurt, fruit, oats, and nuts. The meal does not have to be perfect. You are simply asking, what can I add to make this meal more complete? This is useful because it turns healthy eating into a flexible formula instead of a strict recipe. And flexibility is important when your schedule changes. Some evenings you may cook. Other evenings you may assemble. Other evenings you may heat something prepared. All of those can fit into a healthy routine. Strategy 5. Prepare ingredients, not perfect meals. When people hear the words meal prep, they often imagine spending an entire Sunday cooking several identical meals and putting them into containers. But meal preparation does not have to look like that. If making full meals feels overwhelming, try preparing a few flexible ingredients instead. For example, you could prepare a protein, a cooked grain or carbohydrate, a few vegetables, and 1 or 2 sauces or seasonings you enjoy. Then during the week, you can combine those ingredients in different ways. One evening, you might make a grain bowl. The next evening, you might put the same ingredients into a wrap. Another day, you might add them to a salad. This gives you variety without requiring you to cook from the beginning every night. You can also prepare only one part of your meals. Maybe you cook a batch of chicken but buy pre-washed vegetables. Maybe you prepare rice but use canned beans. Maybe you wash and organize your produce but do not cook anything yet. Partial preparation still counts. You do not have to prepare every meal for the entire week. The goal is simply to remove one or two obstacles from your future evenings. And sometimes preparing one helpful ingredient can make the difference between eating a balanced meal and ordering food again. Strategy 6. Build an emergency healthy dinner. There will be evenings when your plan does not work. You may get home late. You may forget to shop. Your prepared food may be gone. You may be too tired to cook. This is why you need an emergency meal. An emergency meal is not your ideal dinner. It is the meal you can make when everything else goes wrong. Keep a few shelf-stable or freezer-friendly ingredients available. For example, canned beans, canned fish, frozen vegetables, frozen cooked grains, eggs, whole grain bread or wraps, soup, frozen fruit, nuts or seeds. The goal is to have enough food available to make something simple without needing to visit the store. You could make beans with microwavable rice and frozen vegetables, eggs with toast and fruit, soup with a sandwich, a wrap with canned fish, greens, and a simple sauce. Or a quick bowl using whatever ingredients you already have. Your emergency meal does not have to be exciting. It only needs to be easy enough that you will actually eat it. And having this backup can prevent the all-or-nothing thinking that often sounds like, I do not have the ingredients for the meal I planned, so I might as well order anything. Instead, you can say, my original plan did not work, but I still have another option. That is how consistency is built. Not by never having difficult days, but by having a realistic response when difficult days happen. Strategy 7. Make takeout part of the plan instead of treating it as failure. You will not cook every evening. And you do not have to. Trying to create a healthy routine that completely bans takeout may make the plan harder to maintain. Instead, learn how to make takeout work with your goals. You can look for meals that include a source of protein, vegetables, and a satisfying carbohydrate. You can choose grilled, baked, roasted, or lightly prepared options when they are available. You can add a side of vegetables or a salad. You can save part of a large portion for another meal if that works for you. But the goal is not to make every takeout meal perfect. The goal is to make a choice that feels more supportive than completely giving up on your goals. And remember, one takeout meal does not ruin your progress. One restaurant meal does not mean you have failed. Healthy eating is not determined by one dinner. It is shaped by your overall pattern over time. Sometimes the healthiest choice is choosing a convenient meal that helps you eat enough, feel satisfied, and move on with your evening without guilt. Strategy 8. Create a short arrival home routine. Sometimes the problem is not only the food, it is the transition from work to home. You walk through the door, sit down for a moment, open your phone, and suddenly an hour has passed. Now you are even hungrier, more tired, and less interested in preparing food. A short routine can help. When you arrive home, try doing one small thing before you fully settle in. You might drink a glass of water, change your clothes, start heating your meal, take out the ingredients you plan to use, or prepare a simple snack if dinner will take longer. The goal is not to create another strict routine. It is to make the first step easier. For example, instead of telling yourself, I need to cook dinner, tell yourself, I only need to take the vegetables out of the freezer. Or, I only need to put the rice in the microwave. Small actions reduce resistance, and once you begin, the rest of the meal may feel much easier. Strategy 9. Stop expecting every dinner to be perfect. One reason people abandon healthy eating is perfectionism. They believe a healthy dinner must include the perfect amount of vegetables, the perfect protein, the perfect recipe, the perfect ingredients, and if they cannot create that meal, they feel like they have failed. But healthy eating is not a test you pass or fail. Some dinners will be carefully prepared. Some will be assembled in 5 minutes. Some will come from a restaurant. Some will be simple. What matters is the overall direction of your habits. If you usually add a protein to your meals, include foods with fiber, keep convenient ingredients available, and make choices that support your energy and well-being, you are building a healthy pattern. You do not need a perfect dinner. You need a dinner that works. And when you stop treating every meal as a test, healthy eating becomes much easier to maintain. Putting it all together, a realistic weeknight example. Let's imagine you finish work at 6 p.m. You are tired. You did not prepare a complete meal, and you are tempted to order food immediately. Instead, you open your too tired to cook list. You choose a simple bowl. You heat microwavable rice. You add canned beans. You heat frozen vegetables. Then you add a sauce or seasoning you enjoy. A few minutes later, you have a filling meal. It is not complicated. You did not spend an hour cooking. You did not need to follow a detailed recipe. You simply used a system you prepared in advance. On another day, you might make eggs, toast, and fruit. On another day, you might order takeout and choose something that includes protein and vegetables. On another day, you might have a prepared soup with a sandwich. The meals are different, but the system is consistent. You are reducing effort, preparing for low-energy days, and making healthier choices easier. That is what sustainable healthy eating looks like. Conclusion: if you are too tired to cook after work, you do not need more guilt. You do not need a stricter diet. And you do not necessarily need more motivation. You may simply need a healthier system that requires less energy. Start with these steps. Choose meals that pass the after-work energy test. Create a short too tired to cook list. Keep helpful convenience foods available. Use the 3-part plate when you have no plan. Prepare ingredients instead of forcing yourself to prepare perfect meals. Keep an emergency dinner ready. Allow takeout to fit into your routine. And stop expecting every meal to be perfect. Because healthy eating should support your life, not become another exhausting responsibility. The best routine is not the one that looks perfect online. It is the one you can continue during your busiest and most tiring weeks. And if this video helped you, subscribe to Healthy Plate for practical, realistic healthy eating strategies designed for busy professionals. Now I want to hear from you. What is the biggest thing that stops you from eating healthy after work? Lack of time, exhaustion, not knowing what to cook, or something else? Share your answer in the comments. Your response may inspire a future Healthy Plate video. And remember, you do not need more time to start eating healthier. You need a plan that works with the time and energy you already have.